how's it going, everybody? This is Mike here with another video. Sorry about the bad background again, but yeah, whatever. Hey, you do what you do. But this one is on another one of my homemade knives. I really like this one, and it's not up for trade and or sale. Sorry, this one's mine. It's based a little bit off of Vance's knife that I did for him. I'll link the my video on that knife in the description if you want to see it. It's a sweet knife. And I'll also put Vance's unboxing of said knife in the description as well, in case you want to check that out too. But there you go, enough of that. It's pretty similar, but at the same time different. I think his is much more pretty. This one's just kind of confused. Yeah, this is kind of a huge experiment knife for me, but you'll see why in a little bit. But let's go ahead and start off with the blade. It is a reverse tanto and not a sheep's foot. As you can see, it has a polish on the lower portion, or the primary bevel. And then it is acid etched on the flats, which looks awesome, as well as having file work, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And let me step to the other side of the camera. Here is the other side, and as you can see, it's got my maker's mark, little plate that I didn't etch. The polish is pretty bad on this, and in all honesty, I don't think this knife really, polish suits this knife, so I'll probably do a satin or brushed finish on it. But now on to the experimental part. One of the experiments was I wasn't sure how file work and acid etch would go together. I thought it might be a little bit too busy. But in all honesty, I think it came out pretty nice. I like it. But here was the first, or the main experiment. And that was my very first time working with G10. This is a Jade G10. I picked it up off of YouTube, eBay. Sorry about that. I picked it off of eBay for cheap. That was a pretty good deal, so that's why I picked it up. And I'll tell you what, guys, I like working with it. It's really, really nice to work with. As you can see, I got a pattern in there. It's kind of reptilian-esque, not really, but similar. I like it. And I don't consider this ripping off of Tough Thumb's patterns because, it's a little bit different. He didn't show me how to do it. I came up with it, and Enzo's not going to be getting mad at him for doing the Enzo pattern. And if he does, then, whatever. Deal with it, man. But enough on that. It doesn't really matter anyways. File work goes around. I was going to go all the way around, but I went a little bit too deep when I was shaping the handles. So unfortunately, some of that file work was lost. Whatever. This is mine, so little mistakes like that I don't really mind. Also, I went a little bit too deep on the pattern here, if it'll focus. There we go. And you can see it went into the steel a little bit right there. Doesn't seem to want to focus. There we go. You might be able to pick that up. I kind of went into the steel a little bit when I was doing this pattern, right, or this groove right here in the pattern. But overall, I think it came out pretty nice, very ergonomic. No sheath made for this one yet. Might be considering getting a Kydex made for it. We'll see. Might consider trying to make a Kydex mold and doing my own Kydex. That's a little bit off in the future. We'll see when or if that comes around. I would like to do it. I just, money, obviously. It's not free. And, yeah, I think it's pretty nice. Sorry, I took a drink there. And the beverage for tonight is root beer, because it's awesome. And I'm under 21, so I wouldn't be drinking anything alcoholic. But, anyways, side note. This has super thin handles. You know, like this, I'm thinking of carrying this in a shoulder rig, kind of like like some people call it a Merker harness or something. I just always call it a shoulder rig. So I could pull it out in reverse grip, left-handed, or forward grip, right-handed. Nice and easy as a last-ditch defensive tool. And that blade shape suits the role for a defensive knife. That tip right there, that'd dig into anything. It's just a very aggressive blade shape, and I'm sure some of you guys know exactly what I'm talking about if you've dealt with Warren Cliffs or sheep's foots. Not so much sheep's foot, but reverse tantos especially, with not a ton of belly. This tip right here, you just barely put it on something, and it bites like you wouldn't believe. So very sufficient for that role, I believe. Hopefully I'll never have to use it in that role. I'm not wanting to ever have to use a knife for defensive use, but you know, I do carry one for it just in case. Rather safe than sorry. I believe preparation is the greatest form of believing. But you know, that's just another random side note. Acid etch on this one came out very nice. Pick that up there. The pattern. This is kind of my sporadic pattern. Looks pretty cool. It's not quite finished yet. It's close enough. I figured I'd show it to you guys. I might do another video on this one showing you the finished product, completely finished, you know, sheath and all. But we'll see. But like I was saying, handle is very thin. It doesn't really mess with the grip. This isn't a work knife, in my opinion. This is, you know, well, it is a work. It could be used as a work knife, but not an overly hard to use work knife. But you know, for the task that you're going to do, I think this is plenty sufficient. To the defensive role, it is thin, so you can't really fill up your hand with it. But just due to the design of the handle, it locks in. You got a troil here for 2.5, 3 fingers. Or sorry, 3.5, 4 fingers. And then this one here for your index. And then you got that thumb ramp, and when you hold it like this, it locks. It really locks in your hand. It's not really going anywhere. So I don't think thick handle is necessary for this one. Might be for comfort, but you know, this isn't going to be much of a utility knife for me. I don't think. It might be, but we'll see. No screws or anything in the handle. I think they look ugly, so it's just epoxied. But there is an epoxy groove in there. Let me see if I can show you this. Turn my flashlight on and see if that will shine through it. It is a jade, so I believe it will. Yes, it does. You can see that. There's a nice long cavity you cut out in the handle for the epoxy to go through. I figured out a new way of doing that, which is this. It ends up with this result. Beats the heck out of my old way. I used to just have a cutting wheel and a Dremel, and I'd make a few slices through the steel. But this is much nicer. It makes a much larger hole, so works out pretty good. So they're going to be on pretty solid, and right after this I'll be making another video on epoxied handles and other things that you should know about my knife. So keep an eye out for that. Very important information if you're interested in one of my knives. And yeah, but that's it for this one. Very nice looking knife. False wedge here. Well, it's an unsharpened wedge here. Chiseled ground, so it's flat on this side. Very nice knife. Very nice. I really like it a lot. But you know, like I said, this one's for me. But I think this will be going up tomorrow, which is Sunday. We'll see. No promises. It might get up Monday. But yeah. So after this one goes up pretty quick, there will be a video on my knives and things you should know about it. So keep your eye out for that. That's gonna be filled with some important information. But it's almost at 10 minutes, so I'm gonna wrap it up and have a good one.